Yes, and this is, for now, my last Bible reading highlight in 1 Corinthians. And 1 Corinthians 16. You know, sometimes when you're reading through a Bible book, there will be the familiar and the famous verses, like 1 Corinthians 15:58. That's a famous verse. But sometimes there are verses that should be famous but aren't. And that's what I've got here in chapter 16, is a verse that is not famous, but I'm struggling to understand why. It seems so incredibly important. He starts the chapter talking about a collection and then his plans for travel, which sound a whole lot more interesting than my plans for travel at the moment, to be honest with you. Then he gets into some final instructions. Verse 13, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Notice verse 14, let all that you do be done in love. That's a big statement, isn't it? Let all that you do be done in love. Anyway, you keep going, and he goes down through a few more details here. And then you get down to verse 20, greet one another with a holy kiss. Not a good idea right now. But verse 21, he's writing with his own hand. Verse 22, if anyone has no love for the Lord, let him be accursed. Our Lord come. That's a verse that I think is worthy of more attention. And because I've spotted it before and it's kind of struck me before, now when I'm going through 1 Corinthians, it sort of jumps out and it just seems to get louder and louder. If anyone has no love for the Lord, let him be accursed. We tend to talk about people being followers of Jesus or believers in Jesus, and it can be about having prayed a prayer or signed a form or believed certain truths, and there's benefit to all of that. But there's more. There's something else here. If anyone has no love for the Lord, it would be possible, I think, to pray a prayer, to attend church, to believe certain truths, to follow Jesus's instruction and his example, and yet to feel stone cold toward him. That's desperately serious. Paul says that person is accursed, damned. Now, that's not the same thing, I don't think, as kind of having fluctuating temperature of our heart, right? We have that in our human relationships. We have that in our relationship with God. There are times where we feel really warm towards him and times where we feel a bit cold and distant. That's a warning flag, right? That's a light flashing on the dashboard of our lives to say, hey, something's not right. That's not the same as this. This is stone cold, no love for the Lord. And if that's you, if you can maybe say, yeah, I go to church, or I know these things, but absolutely no interest in the person of Jesus whatsoever, this is a warning. This is deadly, deadly serious. If you are a follower of Jesus, if you do love him, that's a miracle. Because by nature, none of us would. It's a miracle of the Spirit of God's work in our lives that we have that spark of delight in him, that desire to please him, that longing to know him. And it's my prayer for myself and for you, that during this time of lockdown when so much is stripped away, that glowing ember of love for Jesus that's within us would be fanned into flame more and more. And for any who see this, who actually are stone cold, literally stone cold, dead towards Jesus, my prayer for you is that you'll take this warning seriously. That you need to look at who Jesus is, that you need to respond to what he's said and what he's done, and come to a point where you can say, you know what, I didn't used to love him, but now I genuinely do. That'd be my prayer for you. So there you go, 1 Corinthians. It's a great epistle. I hope you get to enjoy it, and when you do, be sure to share highlights with others. Anything that stands out, tell somebody about it.